So I got a couple hours today I can mess around with this 8N tractor. Opening night was last night for the play, and I should get my afternoons and evenings back here, which is pretty awesome. But I do have a couple hours today to mess around with this, and I want to do a little welding. I really would like to get this hydraulic leak here resolved. It looks like it's leaking where this reservoir tube, let me set you guys down. I'm hoping I can get you in the shot here because there's a lot of shadows. What's up, Mikey? Yeah, neighbors. Okay, here it is. This is the tube that comes down. This holds hydraulic fluid. This is part of the reservoir, the internal reservoir. I've got a leak where this fluid meets this base piece. This is like this is 1/4-inch steel. I don't know the wall thickness of this pipe, but I suspect it's pretty damn heavy, considering this is a 1948 gig as well. Unfortunately, now that I've pulled the rag off, I can see it's leaking from this inside, the little crotch area there, which is of course the most difficult area to get to, but not impossible. You can see on this side here, on the right side, if you're looking from the rear of the tractor, which we are, the right side had some kind of spit put on here. So obviously that weld failed as well. But on the one but it doesn't leak. That currently does not leak. So this side over here, I'm going to come in with a wire wheel. I'm going to get as much of that paint as possible, come in by hand, clearly identify exactly where it's leaking from, but it looks like I said, it's in from the front. And I'm going to pull these arms up to get them out of my way, and we'll get a welding, and let me show you what my plan is. Oh, here's an interesting tidbit too. The right wheel seal has decided to stop leaking. I just figured it ran out of fluid, but ran out of gear oil in the back here, but there's like 5 gallons of gear oil for this rear end and rear hydraulic assembly, and no, there's plenty of fluid in there. It just decided to stop leaking. All the wetness down here is all from previous before I drove it around a bit, but that's not going to stop me from replacing the axle seals. Actually, this weekend I'm going to hop on the interwebs and make a final decision as to what I need to buy for this, and I found a pretty good outfit that's got wheel seals. I'm going to get front bearings, inner outer races, front seals for the front spindles. I'm looking at a tune-up kit for it. I'm looking at oil filter. I thought there was something else I needed. I don't know. I got to work on the charging system. Doesn't matter. Let me show you what I'm going to do to get this welded. So the plan of attack for all the welding for this tractor, I'm going to use the Maxstar, the Miller Maxstar 150 STL. And this is fairly structural. Not the leak that I'm doing today per se, but the other cracks, at least the two others that I've identified in that loader frame, are all going to be welded with this Miller Maxstar 150 STL. I will be welding it at 240 volts, not using the 110. I'll show you my system for that. And my plan is to use 1/8 inch. What am I using? What are the rods am I using? I've got 7018, a fresh box of 7018 1/8 inch electrodes. They work better at 220. The 3/32 works pretty good at 110 or 120, but I want to make sure I get good penetration. And this machine just loves to work at 220. Let me show you my setup for 220. That's the Coast Guard flying overhead. One of the funsies of being along the coast is first thing in the morning, and then usually around dusk or just before dusk, the Coast Guard flies overhead. They just kind of fly around every day, it seems like. That's such a cool helicopter. All right, where are we here? Here's what we have. I've wired my garage to be kind of a, well, not kind of, but specifically to the tools that I use. I have 4 dedicated, I have a 200 amp service that comes into the house. I have 4 dedicated 20 amp circuits that I use for 120 volts, which is, this is a 14 gauge extension cord, but nonetheless, that doesn't matter. I usually use number 12 extension cords on all my hand grinders and all my tools when I use 110, and those dedicated 20 amp circuits work really, really well. And then I have a 60 amp dedicated 220 circuit to the front of the house, which I use predominantly for the plasma cutter. However, when I use any other 220 devices out here, such as this Miller welder, I just go into that 60 amp 220. Now, Miller welders are pretty damn cool. The newer models are all computer controlled, and they're smart. They're pretty smart. From the factory, Miller gives you this power cord that has replaceable ends. and it gives you an Edison plug, a standard Eddy plug for 120, and then you can click lock that out and you put a 220 plug. And the 220 plug they use is like a 50 amp dryer plug, if I'm not mistaken, type of a range plug. When I bought this machine 3 years ago, the previous owner had cut that off. I don't know why, I didn't ask why, it didn't really matter. But it came with this Eddy plug. Well, I replaced the Eddy plug, but it came with a 20 amp Edison plug, cars. And I didn't want to go through Miller, because if you go through Miller, you've got a whole new cord and it's like $100 or something. So I made a specific cord for it, and I'll show you what I have. So what I did was I took a 12-foot 12 gauge number 12. It was designed for 110 or 120 with an Edison plug female. I cut the Eddy male off and I put a twist lock that goes into the 220 to 50 amp 220 60 amp 220 I have here at the house. Now, as you can see, I've clearly identified this as a 240 volt female plug. So if you work at my house, which doesn't always happen, I don't have guests over here that want to rush over here and help me work on things. It's usually just me, but I still identified this so you don't pick this up and plug my grinder into there and fry it. But this allows me to keep the Edison plug on the Miller, and then I can get 220 volts out of here, or actually it's 245 volts out of here from the house. And then this Miller machine is smart enough that it recognizes I can plug this into a 110 or a 120 outlet. I can instantly unplug it and plug it into here, and it recognizes that it's looking at 220 volts or 240 volts in this case, and it works perfectly. It actually works better on 220. It's less stressful on the components. Let me show you what we've got going on here. Alright, so with my meter set on AC, the little squiggly line there says volts AC. It's just reading voltage out of my fingers right now. I'm going to stick it in the 110 Edison plug or 120 Edison plug. Let's see what we get. 123.5 volts is what I have going to my hand tools. That's a dedicated 20 amp circuit. And then we're going to take this guy here. Let me drop the electrodes in here and see if I can get you a reading without electrocuting myself. Oh, that's not it. Come on, baby. I don't know why this one decides to be so difficult. Hold on a second. Come on. You can do it. There it goes. 246.9 volts. So then we just take this into the Eddy plug, plug it in without electrocuting myself. You come back here, turn the machine on, and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. Okay, let's get cleaning, let's get welding. I know the shadows out here are really, I gotta get this thing a light balance better to see if that, oh, that's better. Alright, so I scrubbed this whole thing up, and of course it wasn't leaking. So I got the compressor out and put a little pressure inside, just about 10 or 15 pounds of pressure inside these tubes. And of course it's leaking in the tightest possible spot between the tube and where the bracket for the lift ram is. So it'll be awesome. Gonna clean it up again, spray it with carb cleaner, and burn some metal. What a good dog. Just chilling in the sun.
Sent you a text. I sent
Tractor Saturday.
I sent you a text.
Tractor Saturday, fool. Ain't got my phone on me. I'm busy working. I had to pressurize the system. I cleaned it up. I couldn't get it to leak out of the crack, so I had to put air in the system. These tires are full of water. I just chopped them off, and you can see how much I had to leak out of this side. That was down to like 6 pounds. They're supposed to run at 14. I put them at
That
20.
that one looked low. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's at like 3. This one was at 15 or so.
They're water filled.
Yeah. Look at all the water that piddled down there because I overfilled that one. Had to drain some of it out. And the front ones were at like 60 psi. They're supposed to run about 40.
Are we gonna need to drain those?
I don't know, dude. We'll have to figure out something. Well, if they freeze, they'll just swell the tires a
Or
little
put
bit.
antifreeze in it.
Alcohol or antifreeze would work. Go to the dollar store and get some, whatever. Anyway, I'm leaking fluid, so I gotta. Now that I blew out the clog, it's leaking pretty good. So I gotta burn that shit on. Okay, I want you to stay around. And there's a fire extinguisher just inside the garage door here to
Well,
the
I
left.
intended to be here helping you.
Well, get cracking, bitch.
Where's the
It's-
fire extinguisher?
Just inside the garage to the left. The side door there to the left. Yeah, I don't have my phone on me right now because I didn't want to be bothered. No? Oh, no, it's in the back of the truck, the Suburban. Let me get it just in case. Hold on.
Electrical tape, really?
Is that what they wrapped it with? That's awesome.
Garbage bucket.
All right, I'm seeing dryness. I'm okay with that.
What do you have for garbage?
Garbage. This is regular garbage. To the left of the recycling. Alright, honestly, this is where I screw things up because I never leave things alone. So I'm going to walk away from this because it's not leaking. I'm going to hit it with a wire wheel and I'm going to call it.
Oh God. Well,
And I think for that side, because it's thinner, we're going to use some 3/16s. Or 3/32, excuse me.
gosh, I hear the banjo playing.
For the repair or for what we're
For
doing?
the repair. For what was previously done.
Hell yeah, one leak fixed. No waiting. Yes, it's up on the hill. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next repair.
These here, I mean, they're not. The holes are a little.
They're a little
sloppy.
oval. I came around with the weld all the way around to here. You can see where it stops. And then I went all the way around the front to right here. And that's nice and dry. I just put another coat of primer on there, so no nut kicking.